So, so Fran, welcome.
Mhm.
I was wanting to ask you, you grew up in Baltimore in the 60s when most
Mhm.
girls were taught to dream small, but you
Oh
wanted
God.
to be a writer, you wanted to fly airplanes, you wanted to travel the world, you wanted to ride horses, and you made every single one of those impossible dreams come true. So help us understand, what do I need to know about your childhood, like how you grew up, that
Oh
made
my
you the kind
Lord.
of person who, when the whole world says that's impossible, Fran says, challenge, accept it.
I grew up in a very strict Catholic household, 12 years of parochial school, 12
What?
years of Sister Mary, whatever, telling you whatever. And you were going to be the good Catholic girl. You were going to maybe be a secretary or a nurse and probably marry an insurance salesman and live in the local suburbs and raise another generation of Catholic kids. I am much younger than my siblings by about a decade or more.
Hmm.
And I'm looking at them and I'm going, they are not happy. I don't know many people who are. And when we were in school and they'd say, oh, the boys can do this, boys can do that. I'd say, oh, that sounds like fun. And they'd all say, well, you can't do that. You're a girl. And I guess there's a stubborn streak in me that I don't like being pushed and I don't like being told what I'm supposed to do.
Hmm.
So I decided that, I was going to do these things and getting out of Baltimore because everybody in Baltimore, the family and all is there. And I thought, no, no. And I was interested in many things
Hmm.
and started working at 15. My parents thought college was a total waste of time and started working at 15 and put myself through school. And horses were always something I wanted to do along with all the other things.
Hmm.
And I got my first job in Steubenville, Ohio at WSTV. We serve the Valley, Channel 9. And the down the road in Wheeling, West Virginia, there was a public park, Ogilvy Park, and they had riding. So I would go take riding lessons and then had an opportunity for one of two jobs, one which was a real career builder in Ohio, and one was kind of just there in Louisville, Kentucky. Well, Louisville. Now that job didn't work out. Yeah, but that job I was there for a while. But then I got a job at the 50,000 watt Clear Channel, voice of WHAS Louisville, as one of the radio reporters. Loved it, and of course was riding there, was taking lessons. My husband was military. We met. I decided to learn to fly. And I had to drive past the airport every day.
Hmm.
And one day I had this vision of the wood-sided station wagon with the two kids and the golden retriever. And I thought, if I don't do this now, I'll never do it. I don't have any debts on. And we were doing a interview with Civil Air Patrol cadets and I was speaking to the instructor of these kids. And I said something about wanting to fly, and he handed me his business card and said, "When you're ready, call me." And a couple of weeks later, I did, and a year later, we got married.
Wow.
I
Wow,
always
wait a
laugh.
minute. That's an
It
awesome way to meet. What a meet
well, it
cute.
was cheaper to marry him than to continue paying for lessons. And
Oh,
we've been married 46 years now, and there are
that's
times I wonder if I was out of my mind.
that's
But
all.
basically, it's been good. And then he was Air Force, and we ended up living in Clovis, New Mexico,
Mhm.
100 miles west of Lubbock. And I always referred to that as America's answer to internal exile. And the two things that were great is that our son was born there. And then
Mm.
there was the day I got the rattlesnake with the lawnmower. So I was very happy when we got orders to go to England. And we lived there for 6 years, right outside Oxford, right near Blenheim Palace, right on the edge of the Cotswolds, and
How
rode there.
picturesque.
Oh, it was fabulous. And of course, every chance I had, I was, traveling.
Mhm.
We had people, like the village nanny would take Ben, and then we take him sometimes, do Legoland in Denmark with a 5-year-old. Oh, it was fabulous.
Oh, fabulous.
Oh, it was fabulous. And of course, I rode there, but then coming back, life
Mhm.
got in the way. I had to get a job, I had to do this, and it was probably 12, 13 years before I had a chance to ride again.
Oh, that's
um,
kind of,
which
yeah.
is typical. I mean, that's
Mhm.
so many women, that all gets pushed aside.
Yep, yep,
And I
yep.
wasn't until I was in my mid 50s that I had a chance to ride regularly.
Mhm.
And that was like the dream. And that was important, that something I had been deferring and deferring.
Mhm.
And I think many women find the same dynamic, that we're kind of schooled that everybody else comes first,
Yeah, I agree.
and that fulfilling your desires is somehow a betrayal to the family,
Yep.
or society. And we kind
Mhm.
of set ourselves up for that because we're taught we take care of the family, we take care of us, we take care of that.
We're
And
raised to be caretakers. So I
we're
don't want
raised
to
to,
interrupt you. I just want to make
yeah.
sure that we kind of, um, because you said earlier that you did those things partly because you don't like to be told no, or, you're a little bit rebellious. But like I think of you as someone that has what I call a growth mindset. So
Mhm.
maybe when you're a
Yeah.
kid, it's more rebellion, but somewhere you were always that person, it seems, that looked for, okay, how can I do something that's maybe uncomfortable or different, or like learning to fly, all those things.
I think it's curiosity, a
Okay.
lot of it. The neighborhood I grew up in did not have any other kids my age. I went to school, I came home. So I
Hmm.
had to find something. And I became a great reader,
Mm.
and a lot of, this place is boring, what else is out there?
Okay.
Began reading, I Red Planet, Robert Heinlein's marvelous adventure story about kids. And it was like, oh, this can happen. Wow. And I think a lot of curiosity.
Hmm.
And I think when you don't have a lot of immediate abilities, I mean, some kids could take dancing lessons or music lessons, and I couldn't. So I had to be imaginative. And
Hmm.
maybe that's where a lot of the growth mindset came, is that what's here is certainly not fulfilling me, if that's the right word. So let me see what else I can do. I was Girl Scout, and I like, of course, I grew up in the age that girls learn to sew and do cooking. And my father was a shade tree mechanic and liked to mess with his cars. And I like to mess with the cars too. I wish times had been different, and maybe I could have gone into, more mechanical things, but that wasn't there. But I like to do stuff. I like to build stuff. And I think if that's your mindset, it's kind of predetermined that you're going to break molds.
Hmm. I was just curious because, sometimes it's our upbringing, but then I think, and in order to really do anything like the changey in life, you have to have that. I'm always curious, like where does that come from in people?
Yeah, because the rest of my
Parent.
family is very, very by the book. They've
Mm.
always done what they were expected, and I'm not sure how I got the weird gene.
Well, let's call it the curious gene because
Okay, we'll do that.
that's, I love that. I love that about you. So, I mean, obviously you've lived very adventurous of a life. But then wanted to ask you about, like I met you in your wonderful Facebook group, Riders of a Certain Age, but really that Facebook group came about because you wrote this book, Riders of a Certain Age. You were the 2022 winner of the Best Inspirational Book at the Equus International Film and Arts Festival. That book inspired you to write another book, Creating Your Journey. So, can you share with us a little bit, like what prompted you to write the first book,
Sure.
um,
Yeah.
so that we understand?
Well, as I said, I didn't get a chance to ride until I was well into my regularly until I was well into my 50s. And I had a lot of questions. And they weren't the questions that your riding instructor necessarily could answer. They could talk about, how you sit, how you do it, your balance, all that stuff.
Mhm.
But it was things like, am I out of my mind for doing this? I mean, I'm pushing
I think a
60.
lot of women ask themselves that because I've heard that
Well,
a lot.
this is what happens. And mentally, can I do this? Physically, how does my finances, how do finances work into this? Is your spouse really supportive?
Mhm.
You need replacement parts, the warranty on your body's wearing out. Can you continue doing this? And I started, as I said, curiosity. I
Mhm.
started to try to dig around. And there are a lot of Facebook groups for older riders, many of
Yes.
which are fabulous.
Yes.
And I kept seeing the same questions being posed.
Mhm.
And I wasn't really comfortable all of the time with the responses. Some of them were like, yeah, that's good. And some of them were like, oh my God, don't do that. Where did you get that idea? So I began to do my own research
Mhm.
and ended up coming up with a brief version of the book, sent it to Trafalgar Square, which is the imprint for any kind of equine media
Again,
stuff.
that is very courageous. You sending it to like one of the biggest
Well, no,
publishers out there.
they are the ones that you want, and their website, because a lot of the people that want to write for them, they're not pros, and it's a very kind website of what you have to do and how
Mhm.
you submit. And I did. And this was in the middle of the year. um and I didn't hear, and I thought, oh well. And then they contacted me, and they only had a half a dozen people or so working there. And they said, we're very interested, but it's going to be, you'll hear by the end of the year. So Christmas comes, Christmas goes, I don't hear. And I'm thinking, well, they just didn't want to blow my holiday. New Year's Eve, they called and they said, are you still interested? We want the book. And you have to double it in length. And that was kicking into 2020. And we know what happened there. So while
Mhm.
everybody else was quarantined and baking sourdough bread and binge watching, what was that, The Tiger King, I was writing a book.
That
And I
was like
always laugh.
perfect timing. The
Yeah,
universe.
that you're an introvert when you're quarantined and you don't notice. So the book came out, and it really was, for those of us that are of a certain age. And one of the things that I found is that the fastest growing segment of the recreational horse world is women over 60. And I have spoken to people. There, one lady came up to me at expo in Tennessee, and she was 82 and had just taken her first lesson.
Oh, that's wonderful, isn't it?
And with the Facebook group, we're international. We're about 32,000 internationally. And when it breaks down by age, over 50% of the group is over 60,
That's amazing.
55 to 60 and up.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's, 32,000 divided by, and we have a surprising lot of folks. It's mostly US, Canada, and Britain, which you expect,
Mhm.
but a lot in Germany and the Netherlands and Sweden, and a big group down in Australia and New Zealand. And I don't know how they heard about it. We had the group chugging along at about 1,000 members. And I work with an outfit called Black Horse Marketing Solutions down in Arizona.
Mhm.
And she handles a lot of my media. So she puts up like, 4 or 5 things a month, get people commenting. And we don't know what it was that went viral. But all of a sudden
How
we went
viral
from,
things work, right?
we don't know but we don't know which post triggered it,
Mhm.
because we went from about 1,000 members to 30,000 members in 3 weeks. It was
Oh,
very lively. Okay,
yeah. How did you have time to admit all those
know.
people?
It's only women. Initially, it was open, but not all men are gracious. So we had to say, guys, out of here, which is frustrating because there were some very nice guys. But there are several groups that are co-ed, and if they're nice guys, I'll send them there. And then you get some very strange applications that we won't go there. But the group is marvelous. It is largely people posting photos and their first rides and what they're doing. And it is such a supportive group. And
Mhm.
that's wonderful. And a lot of people don't know that the group was created because of the book. So what I'm starting to do now is once every week or so, I'm saying, well, now in the book we talk about fear. So this is a couple chapters, this is a little bit about the fear. What do you think? And by the way, buy the book. I'm, shameless self-promotion there.
Nice.
And that's kind of fun. So
Mhm.
that book came out, and then Creating Your Journey is kind of a companion. If you've been riding a long time, you probably don't need it. But if you're new to it and you want to like um, solidify some of your ideas, it's very nice. And
Mhm.
then the other two I came out with in response to the many fires that were happening in the last couple of years. Wait a minute, gotta get this
Oh,
right
oh,
because
oh, oh. You have the
here it
back.
is. Well,
Yeah,
it's got to
there
be
you
on
go.
top of
You
me.
got to cover
Forest,
it. Yeah,
yeah,
awesome.
forest fires.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's so scary.
yeah, and we had one. And the number
Mhm.
one thing is don't use box fans. They're not designed to run 24/7. They get the motors aren't sealed, they overheat and they burn. Ask me how I know. We were lucky we did not lose any horses. We lost Lauren. We lost the goat. The goat got smoked and held on relation. But you do not want to go through that. And what it is that it is so ridiculously easy for a fire to start. It is
Right.
equally ridiculously easy to prevent them. So I'm in the process of redoing this because I've run out some. I'm redoing it. And then the last book I came out with is Barn Hacks, which is I just sat there, you collect all the ideas, collect all the ideas, collect all the ideas. And do I have a copy here? I know I'm messing up your video.
No,
What
you're
happened?
not
Do
at
I have
all,
a
but you're
copy?
kind of disappearing when you
Here it is.
it's like you're in one of those ghost movies. Awesome.
Oh,
Yes, I saw that as
Barn
well.
Hacks.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
Nice.
and it was more fun to put together. There are probably a half a dozen groups online that collect this stuff, including my favorite, which is the Baling Twine Appreciation Society.
What?
They are
I've
a
never
hoot.
even
They are
heard
a
of
hoot.
that one.
Yes, I stumbled across it, but it's all the little ideas that you think, and it's kind of like, well, here are some ideas for in the barn, here are ideas for water troughs, here are idea for winter. And that one I've had a lot of fun with. And when I do a lot of presentations at the various horse expos.
Okay.
And one of them is the best barn hacks for name the season. And those are a blast because people say, why do this one? And I don't just writing more down. And
That's
that's a
awesome.
lot of fun because people were so generous with their
Yes.
ideas. There's a whole chapter in there about building your own mounting blocks. And
Oh,
I
that's awesome.
found,
I know, that's a thing.
well, I found some pictures and I contacted people and I said, I can't pay you, but I can send you a copy of the book. Can I use your picture and your name? They were, sure, sure, sure,
Oh, how
which
cool.
is plus.
Marvelous.
So it's kind of fun because it's helping me stay in this community and enjoy it. And horses and the horse community have meant so much to me.
Hmm.
We're talking personal growth.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't know how to just chill because I've always been working, working, working. And
Mhm.
when I got my first horse, Heather, it was like, well, we got to do, we got to do, we got to do. And she wasn't happy and I wasn't happy. And somebody said, you just have to learn how to just chill and just play without necessarily a goal.
Mm.
So I went out and I put her on a 22-foot line and I had a beach chair and a book and a CD with Jimmy Buffett. And for 2 weeks, that's all we did. And I realized that it's okay. And that really fundamentally changed the way I look at life. As
Mm.
horses are transformative,
Yes.
she doesn't have an agenda. Why do you have one?
Yeah, we have an
And
agenda and
is,
a very strong intention with everything. We want something all the time.
yeah, and what am I proving by pushing if we're not having fun?
Right.
So we go to our first show. It's a little dressage show, and we go with this old fly specked Appaloosa named Mojo, who'd been there, done that, had the T-shirt, and it's a little local show. And we do our warm up, and I'd already decided if she didn't like it, we'd do one other show,
Mhm.
and then if she didn't like it, never again. So we ride in. Well, this is a chestnut thoroughbred Cell Francais mare whose
Mhm.
great granddaddy beat Old Ruler in the Derby. Okay.
Ooh.
So we ride in, and we ride in, and Heather looks around, and we get to X, and she goes, "Oh wait, I have arrived." But she wasn't all that confident because the whole time we're riding, this is like intro A, circle, trot, circle, stop. She's calling to Mojo, nay, 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 nay. I'm laughing so hard that I almost fell off the saddle. And it was Betty Thorpe was the judge who I think she's passed now, but she was like a heavyweight. And she's going, that was really cool. Did you have fun? I said, I haven't been an arena in ever. So Heather clearly enjoyed that. And she liked the process. And I think whether it's reining or dressage or whatever, you have to like the process, not just the results. And for me, that was a big change. Instead of, well, here's the deadline, here's the goal, to
So that
just,
changed you in your writing, but you said it also changed you in your life.
oh
So
God, yes. I don't think you can, I don't think you can compartmentalize that. You can't be one way with the horses and one way in your life. It's not going to work. And I think working with her and having her say, oh, what? And to say, well, maybe I don't have to be fighting to get this goal or to just let things happen. One of the things that I learned, I rode back in the early 2000s down in Florida with the Pirelli group. And one of their things was when things are going haywire or
mhm.
you don't understand, your response is to go, how interesting.
Yes, that's a
And
great
boy,
point.
does that change the whole dynamic.
Yes.
So when things are crapping, like the last couple of days, I had to take my car in to have just a little thing turned out. Turned out it was not a little thing; it was a $650 thing. How interesting. Well, fix it now because if the thing had really we caught it before it broke, it was my axle. That would have been more. How
Yes.
interesting.
Yes.
How
And that kind
interesting.
of goes with your curiosity thing in a way. Like I always say
Yeah.
that, we
Well, yeah,
should
because
be
you are,
having
if you're
fun.
not saying this is wrong, this is bad, this should happen,
Right.
this shouldn't, just go, how interesting. Why is this happening? How is this happening? And
Mhm.
that takes a lot of the judgmental out of it. And being raised in a strict Catholic family, that's a lot of judgmentals. To be able to just say, well, that's what they're going to do. And, that's fine. If it doesn't adversely affect me or somebody immediately, can we just let this go?
That's a
And
beautiful.
I'm also on the neighborhood board. It is not an HOA. We have a lot, the development owns a lot of property in the woods, so we have to take
Okay.
care of that.
Mhm.
So, it's a lot easier to deal with a couple of the curmudgeons in the group if you're not going in there with an agenda and you just let them vent and vent and vent and then start, talking. That's a whole new mindset. And that
That's,
comes from
yeah,
working with the horses when you can push a horse, but you can't push them far.
that's very beautiful. Yeah. So I love that because, I'm a believer that horses can change us, but I'm also a believer that maybe part of the responsibility could be that we understand that we have to change us and not always wait for some horse to come along that pushes us to change.
Yeah. I think it's dual. Every horse I have had showed up at the right time.
Mm,
And, I look at what I know now and oh my God, I wish I had known Heather then. Because there were times we absolutely mind melded and I didn't know enough to continue that. And every horse I've had, it's been like, oh God, I wish I had known then what I know
right.
now. Marcus and Chance, and I think that's a continuum. I think they show up. If I think there's like maybe some cosmic, maybe I'm getting a little woohoo here,
I
but
agree. There's a little woo in that. Yes.
yeah, but if you're trying to find or you're trying to learn, then I think the cosmos kind of moves to you and gets you the right place, the right horse, the right situation.
Hmm.
And maybe that's a gift, maybe it's a test. Um, we can really get philosophical in this.
Yep.
But I think every horse I've had has shown up at the right time to take me to the next development.
Hmm. I agree. I think that's how growth works.
Yeah.
So talking about growth, like when I think of what you've created, it kind of feels like you've started a movement. Does it feel like that to you?
That is what I was hoping for with the group. I
Hmm.
did not expect the Facebook group to be so much of the photos and the excitement of I've got somebody to share this with. Um,
Because we all
and
want
that's wonderful.
connection, right?
Yeah, it's wonderful that somebody says, oh, I'm 54 and I got my first horse, and here it is, and everybody says, oh, that's beautiful, that's beautiful. And then there are people who get some serious discussions in there. There have been some discussions about, oh, yeah, I try to stay away from, we're not going to get into barefoot or shod because everybody has a fit. Not going to get some things like, no, these topics we will not discuss. But people will talk about, the replacement parts. When can I ride? Um, you know, getting family members to be encouraging or not.
Hmm.
So and they'll talk about their personal lives, which is one reason we didn't want the guides in after a while, because
That makes sense. So
yeah.
um, when you think of movement, like what did you have a specific thing? Like what's your movement about? If you had to like express what it is that you want to
I
bring to
think
the
that
world with this?
it's a community of women of a certain age
Hmm.
that can share their experiences and share the excitement and the sheer joy that comes across, that I've wanted to do this and I finally am. And I've wanted that horse since I was little and now I have it. And that sheer joy is contagious.
Joy
And
is
that I
contagious.
love. It is. There's oh, I'm so excited. Well, I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for you for being excited for me. And that's exciting. That's exciting. Yeah. And the people will write, I live here. Does anybody live nearby? And I think a lot of it, as older riders, a lot of times it's hard to find somebody our age or our, in our area, in our age. Um, it's the concept of, well, our instructor is going to want to ride with older people. So I posed that
Hmm.
on a couple of Facebook groups that are for instructors.
Hmm.
And with one exception, I know her, but anyhow, they all said, "Are you kidding? We love it. There's no drama. They are, they respect what I am doing and they respect me. And they're willing to work for it. Yes, it will take us longer to get the muscle memory right. We might have to have things explained twice. And best of all, we pay on time. So they really like this.
That's awesome.
And that they know that there are other people that maybe there isn't anyone their age in the area. So we kind of make that up.
Hmm.
And I'm just so excited that folks are I probably clear a half a dozen people a day that want to join.
That's so fabulous.
A
So,
lot of them are people that just, and I check, you've got to have something horsey in your background.
right.
I think some people just join to join. I don't think they all post, but there are probably, I only guess 200 to 300 who post regularly.
I think you seem like you have a very lively, like lots of
Yeah.
people posting. Yeah, that's really fabulous. So you said something a minute ago. You said that you when you wrote the book, it was okay that it was COVID because you're kind of an introvert. But you don't really strike me as an introvert, and part of your movement seems to be about getting people together. So how do those two things work together in the same person?
I think I'm an introvert in that I'm not a party person. I'm
Mhm.
not a joiner. Um, I'm just as happy if like, well, yesterday it rained, but today it's cooler and it's quiet, and I'll sit there and the evening I'll have a glass of wine and read a book, or Ron and I will watch something on TV. That we're I'm not extrovert in the sense that I've got to be around people, got to be doing things. I
Mhm.
like to be around people. I go to the gym and I've got friends at the gym.
Mhm.
I like to be doing things. but I don't have any problem, say, traveling by myself because it's hard to get people to travel with you. Um, so I don't have a problem with traveling someplace, you going to a show by myself.
Mhm.
Um, I'm happy when there's somebody with me,
Mhm.
but I like helping people, and I think the book is to help people and to do that kind of thing. I just got to notice that, I put together the community newsletter, and I just got a thing a little bit that this is a very rural, semi-rural area. It's one of
Mhm.
the charms is that it's close enough. You're 50 minutes from downtown, but this is kind of, a few little shops here and there. And at the main intersection up the road, they want to put in a McDonald's.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's a very busy intersection to start with. It does not need more traffic. And also the spot where they want to put it is a field where we always see the deer grazing. So I've got somebody said we're having a meeting, so I just put up the poster and just sent it by email to the neighborhood because that's where I feel like I'm contributing something,
Mhm.
and I don't have to be in the middle of it or have a lot of people around me to do it. Does that make
That's really,
sense?
yes, but
I'm not sure.
don't you think it's a little bit ironic on the part of the universe that you're very independent, you don't need people, you write books, which you put that stuff out there, but now you've created a Facebook group with 30,000 people that's all about connecting to
Thirty-two
people.
thousand. We're up to
32,
thirty-two
sorry.
thousand.
But don't you think that's kind of a wild thing that the universe has manifested into your life?
Yeah, but it's not. I can still be introverted and do that. I still don't have to be like out there with everybody. I don't
Mhm.
have to be the center of attention. I'm doing my thing, and they can take it from there as well. And I'm just kind of the facilitator. I'll be the facilitator.
Okay. You awesome. So I meant to ask you something because on your website it says, as an older writer, I realize that my life, my needs, my challenges, my concerns are different from younger women. Even those who are lucky enough to have been around horses since they were toddlers must deal with new situations as they start to draw Social Security and Medicare. So usually, when people talk about aging and having to make adjustments, they're referring to like cutting back and limitations, but you have this very specific wording of new situations versus limitations, which I love. So
Well,
what's your
I think
thinking there and how do you
society
feel
is,
about that?
the old paradigm of you're 65, you're going to sit there play canasta till you die. Maybe you'll take a carnival cruise with grandkids. That's changing because we are healthy. I read something recently, and it was a rather sobering comment that we how did they put it? That we're older, but at some point we outlive our health for many people. And
Mm.
because of medication and all, we might live to be 97 or 100, but is that at some point, where does the quality break? And that's a very individual thing. I take a little weight training class, weight class, exercise class at the gym. And there's one little old lady, Caroline, and we got talking. She's 90 and she's in there, doing what her weights. And her husband's 94 and swims, 92 and swims. And yet there are other people that I know that at 80, they just sit. So, a lot of it is your mindset. She is, again, someone who has always stayed active. And that's one of the things I found in the research is that people who are mentally and physically active
Mhm.
are healthier. Um, they will live longer, and it will also be a better quality of life. And I
Mhm.
think that's important that we kind of focus in on that. So it's not just how long we live. And I think the research has always been younger people, younger people. And now I say in the book, maybe because a lot of these researchers are older, they're looking at what we can do. And you're seeing people that are there's a couple of groups that are Rhodes Scholars, some of these travel groups, and some of
Mhm.
them are adventure travel. I mean, they're not, climbing Everest kind of thing, but the guest ranches, the dude ranches that have, specifically they'll have older sessions, they'll have some all women sessions. There's one I'd love to do this. It's recounting a cattle drive. And a few years
Oh
ago, a
yeah, I've
friend of
seen those advertised. I had a
oh, well,
client who did that. She thought it was amazing.
oh, it was amazing. A friend of mine and I went out to it was a working ranch, and they were bringing in their cattle from this was the high plains of New Mexico down into the valley for wintering, and it was there were probably four of us that were in our later 50s or 60s, and then a couple of younger couples. One of them was their honeymoon, which was fun. And that's what we did. We were the crew. The wrangler was there, the boss was there, the rest of it was us.
Nice.
And what an adventure. And, some people, even if they're not, say, physically adventurous for whatever reason, but
Mhm.
they'll take like the not so much the luxury cruises because those are like basically resorts on water, but people that are doing some of the barge cruises, which I've done. The one it was really cool. It was down the Danube at winter and went to all the Chris Christkindl marts in Germany. So cool. But there's
Yeah,
some of
how
them
could
where
that
you,
not be
you
cool?
stop. Oh, you've got to do that. You stop
I
and
lived there. Yeah.
you could get a bicycle and bicycle along, you know, the Netherlands, which is flat, and then get back on the boat.
Mhm.
And those are not high exercise things, but it's staying active.
Mhm.
And because we can be healthier because of food and medicine and such. I think it's easier for people to stay active and not fall into the paradigm of, well, you're 65, you're 70, you shouldn't be doing that anymore.
I know. I hear that from clients all the time. I agree.
Yeah,
Movement is life.
but movement's what it's all about.
Yes.
It's you don't die. What if you don't get, what is it? If
You don't die because you don't stop moving because you die. You die because you stop moving.
not moving, yes, the same kind of thing. Thank you.
Yeah,
One of us can figure this out.
exactly. So, Fran, if you were
Yeah.
to write another book, or do you already have another book coming up, what would it be?
Um, right now, I really need to concentrate on marketing what I have. Now, what I have done last week, I finished recording. I am doing an audio version of Riders of a Certain Age.
Cool.
So that is at the editors now. God willing, and nothing else goes wrong, it will be ready sometime in September.
Nice.
So, I'm trying to market that, use the website to say, let's talk about this topic, buy the book. Um,
So how
and
about
I'm
if we do a little, maybe, and you and I can talk about this after we get off, but maybe we could do a
sure,
little coupon code where if you have a waiting list for people who watch this video, who see the
sure.
thing and want to already sign up or something, we'll come up
This,
with something creative.
this is great. I'm learning the intricacies of marketing. Writing the book was easy. So I don't have anything firm. I need to really concentrate on this and make this happen.
Okay.
Between the different books, I'm going to be at Equine Affair in Massachusetts.
Mhm.
There are a bunch of us that we've gotten together and we've gotten one table, so there are six of us that will be selling our books there.
Cool.
I have in the back of my mind some fiction I'd like to do. And that, I mean, I write good fiction, but it is a challenge
I
to
bet you do.
me when nonfiction's easy. I don't take forever. But fiction is a whole nother adventuring challenge.
That,
And that'll happen. and
that suits you. You're an adventurer.
and ideally they will be horse oriented because that helps me. I'll never be, what's it, Natalie Reinhardt with her 30,000. She is the nice, that she has written. This is what she does. And she has like 30 novels and they're thick. And it'll be like, these are three novels about this particular farm. And they're romance, but it's really about the people, and the romance is fit into it. So they're real people. And she has like 30 of them. And she has this incredible following. When she shows up at one of the shows, there's a line. Macmillan has now taken her and they're doing huge marketing, and she's just over the moon, and she is the nicest person, and I am so thrilled for her. It's like, I would like that. I would like to have that happen. But from that is her job. She gets up, she writes, and I do other things as well as write, so I'll never be Natalie, but that's
You-
okay.
Because you're Fran.
Yeah.
You don't want to be
But
me. You want to be
it's
you.
fun. No, each writer that I work with, or no, Alicia Stevens Martin, she's written the Silver Cowgirl series. That's
Mm.
the only series out there that where the main characters are older women. And they're good. They're well written books. So she and I team up a lot. And there's Lori Tankel who writes Common Sense Horsekeeping, which is, she and I, we
Yeah,
overlap,
I can see how you would, yeah, be,
but we're not
yeah.
competitors. There was she does a very good presentation about barn fires, and she wasn't sure if she was going to come to this one expo or not. And I'd already contacted the organizers and said, I'm coming, and this is one of the topics. And I contacted her and I said, yeah, if you come, and she says, don't worry about it. This topic's too important. If I don't do it, fine, you're doing it, and that's what's important. And that's kind of neat when you run into people like that.
It's very neat because it is the topic that's important. And I
Yeah.
think,
And
you
it's
know, it's a
and some
village.
people can get some people can get territorial. Well, I'm writing about common sense horsekeeping, and you're writing about barn hacks. And we're like, well, we mesh. Buy both books. That solves the problem.
Exactly. And that's awesome. That's awesome. So Fran, is there anything that you would like to say before we go? Because I have
I
so enjoyed this
Oh, this
chat.
is fun. Just let me talk about myself. Shameless self promotion.
Mhm,
I am just so happy that the horse world is so open and welcoming,
mhm,
and there's so much giving and so much willingness for people to share, and you don't always see that in industries
mhm,
and in attitudes. There
mhm.
are the women that want to be the keyboard critics and the nasties, and if they show up on my group, I throw them out. But that there's so much genuine joy and sharing, and that's wonderful. And as I said, you need that with the horses, but that goes out into the world, and maybe in some tiny, tiny way, we're making the world a better place. And that's a noble goal. It may only be a little bit, but a lot of little bits turn into a big one.
That is a very noble goal. I think I love that. We'll end on that. Let's make the
Okay.
world a better place together through curiosity, growth
And
mindset,
horses.
and kindness.
And horses.
And horses. Well,
Which
horses are all
embody
of
all
those things.
those things.
Yes, exactly. They encompass all of that.
Yes, indeed.
Awesome. Thank, thank you so much, Fran.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yes.